Hello students. Today in this class we will be looking at chapter 7 from Maths 1. This chapter is very important from the point of view of class 10th because there is continuation of this topic in class 10th also. And this is a very interesting chapter. So let us begin with statistics. The first question that comes to our mind is, what is statistics? So the definition goes this way: it is a branch of mathematics dealing with the collection, analysis, interpretation and presentation of numerical data. So it is basically, we are collecting data, we are analyzing it, we are interpreting the data. Some questions are there, we are trying to answer those questions, and then we are presenting the data in various type of ways. Okay, in this chapter we will be looking at interpreting data using graphs. Before we begin with that, let us recap of what we have done so far in previous classes. Yes, so let us quickly recap on what we have done in earlier classes. We have learned how to draw a simple bar diagram and also a joint bar diagram. We have observed various graphs from newspapers, magazines, television, etc. And we have gathered information from them. So it is very important to decide according to the nature of the data what diagram or graph would be suitable to represent it. So as you can see, we have looked at these type of graphs in previous classes. Now, how do these graphs look? That is a line graph, right? It can be a single line graph or it can be a double line graph also. Next is the pictograph. In pictograph, pictures are used or symbols are used to represent the data. For example, here for Monday, you can see 2 ice creams are used and one picture represents 4 ice creams. That means for Monday, the number of ice creams sold was 8. All right. Next is the pie chart. So you see, we put the data in a circular format like that. It is a pie chart. Now, we have also looked at what are bar graphs. Now, those can be single, double, or like this format of bar graphs. We have also seen histogram, that is the bar graphs without any distance between them is a histogram. And now let us start with what we are going to do in class 9th in this chapter, statistics. So first thing we would be doing is we will be looking at subdivided bar diagrams and percentage bar diagrams. Then we will be looking at what type of data is there, primary, secondary data. And then using that data, we will be studying what is grouped and ungrouped frequency distribution. Later, we would be looking at cumulative frequency distribution and its types. And finally, we will be doing some central tendencies of data, that is mean, median, and mode. Okay, so let us begin with looking at what is subdivided bar diagram and percentage bar diagram. Before we begin, let us look at a problem on graph reading. So here the question is, a farmer has produced wheat and jowar in his field. The following joint bar diagram shows the production of wheat and jowar. From the given diagram, we have to answer the following questions. Now, before we begin with the questions, if you check, the question is, which crop production has increased consistently in 3 years? Now, to answer these type of questions, the best way is to first draw a table and fill out the entries. What, like, we can just put up the pictorial information into a proper data. So let us quickly fill this table. there. So as you can see here, we are already given data for 2012. That is, wheat production was 48 quintals and jowar was 12 quintals. The total is given to be 60, right? Now let us fill the table quickly and then we will be answering these questions. So the first year, that is 2010, the wheat production, you can see the wheat production is 30 and the jowar production is 10. We can see it over here, the symbols, the scale. In the scale, it is mentioned that for jowar, triangles are used and for wheat, circles are used. So the circular part, that is wheat, it is 30 and the jowar production is 10. So let me fill this out. Wheat is 30 and jowar is 10, and that would total up to 40, right students? And next year, that is 2011, the wheat production is how much? Let us check. The wheat production is somewhere between 30 and 40, that has to be 35. And the jowar production is right in between 10 and 15, that will be 10 and 20, that would be 15. So wheat production is 35 and jowar production is 15. And also we need to put up the total. So what will be the total? 35 plus 15, that would give us 50. Right students? So far we have got the table and now we will be answering the questions. So the first question, it says, which crop production has increased consistently in 3 years? So if we look at the graph, clearly you can check the wheat production has increased, right? For all the 3 years, you can see the graph, the bar height, the height of the bar is increasing, right? And if we compare the height of wheat, so the bar over here has increased, but then it has moved down. So the correct answer is wheat, right students? Which crop production has increased consistently? It is the wheat, right? Next question is, how many quintals the production of jowar has reduced in 2012 as compared to 2011? So we are looking at which crop production, that is of jowar, right students? And we have to compare the data for 12 and 11. So jowar production for the year 11 and 12, this data. So it is reduced by how much? It is reduced by 3 quintals. Over here you can see the unit is mentioned, it is production in quintals. So the production of jowar in 2012 has reduced as compared to the year 2011 by how many quintals? By 3 quintals. And next, the next question is, what is the difference between the production of wheat in 2010 and 2012? So yes, so what is the difference between production of wheat in 2010 and 2012? So the production of wheat in 2010 is 30 and in 2012 is 48, right student? So what is the difference? The word difference means subtraction. So we subtract 48 minus 13, that would be how much? That would be 18. So the difference between the productions of wheat in 2010 and 2012 is 18 quintals. Fine. With that, the last question, we have already done this one. Complete the following table using diagram. So that's how we completed this graph reading problem. Okay, students, wasn't this easy? We are simply looking at the graph and we are trying to get the pictorial information into a tabular form, and then we can answer any type of question. With that, we will move to subdivided bar diagrams. Yes, so there are two types of subdivided bar diagrams. One is the normal subdivided bar diagram, and the second is percentage bar diagram. Fine, let us look at the graphs, how these graphs look like. Now these graphs are of the same data. All right, wheat and jowar are the quantities which have been graphed over here, and let us closely look at the difference. What is the difference between these two graphs? So in the first one, you can check. For the first one, the height of the bars is not same. It is not uniform. It is increasing, right, students? But if you look at the percentage bar diagram, the height of all the bars is same. Why so? Why is it same? Why is it 100? So the answer is percentage means out of 100. Percentage means out of 100. That's why these bars are having equal height, and that to 100. So let us look at how to graph when we are asked to graph a subdivided bar diagram. We will take the same example that we did on the graph reading. Using the same example, we will try to graph both the types, the subdivided bar diagram and the percentage bar diagram. Let us begin with subdivided bar diagram. Now here in this table, you can see we have added one extra column, that is for total. Okay, we have just written the total over here. And now we will start with graphing. So how do we begin graphing? We start with labeling the axis, right? We number the axis and then we label it. So there you can see we have numbered and labeled the axis. On the x-axis, we have put up the years, and on the y-axis, we have put up the production, which is in quintils. Okay, and the scale, the next step would be we write the scale. So the scale would be on y-axis, 1 centimeter equals to 10 quintils. All right, because we are jumping by multiples of 10, 10, 20, 30, so on. Okay, students, now let us quickly graph it. Yes, so there we go. We begin with the first year, that is 210. Now here we have to start with the total. So what is the total? 40. We start with making a bar of 40. So there we go. The total height for the first bar is 40. And with that, we have to label 30 for wheat and 10 for jowar. So 30 for wheat and 10 for jowar. But before that, we need to mention what design or what pattern we are going to use for wheat and jowar. So let me quickly put it up over here in the scale itself, that we are going to use some dots for wheat and we are going to use some circles or some triangles. Let us use triangles for jowar. So some dots for wheat and some triangles for jowar, like that. Okay, students. So for wheat, we are using that pattern, and for jowar, we are using that pattern. Okay. So let us label. The first label will be at the division, the subdivision, as it says, the subdivided bar diagram. There will be a division. So first division will be at 30. We put a bar like this over here. That means from 0 to 30, it is wheat. So we are going to make a pattern for wheat, and it would be like this. We just put random dots over there, and that marks the wheat production. And what about the jawar production? So clearly, students, you can see from 30 to 40, this distance is 10, right, students? So jawar production is automatic 10. Isn't that good? So with that, we just mark, or we draw the pattern, that is the triangles for jawar. We move to the next year, that is 2011. We start with the total. So the total is 50. We start with marking the bar diagram with height 50. So there we mark it like this with the height 50. And then we have to draw the bar at 35, for wheat. So where is 35? Between 30 and 40, exactly between 30 and 40, we put a bar like this. And now we need to label the wheat part. So for wheat, we draw patterns. That would be simple dots like this. And for jawar, we put up some triangles. You can use any simple or any other pattern. Okay, students. And that completes the bar for 2011. Now let's draw a bar for the year 2012. We start with the total again. So the total is 60. We have to make a bar of the height 60. Now here, yes, so this part is, just a minute, students. Yes, so we start with marking the height for 2012 to be 60. So there we go. We mark that to be 60. And then we see the wheat production. For wheat production is, the bar should be drawn at 48. So 48 will be somewhere close to 50. So I draw a bar over there like that. We are just making a division at 48. All right, students, at 48, somewhere near to 50. And again, we repeat the same step. That is, we have to make pattern for wheat, and we will make a pattern for jawar. Isn't that easy, students? You just need to find total for the given data, and we start with labeling the totals. We start with marking the totals, and then we have to just draw pattern that completes the graphing part. Yes. And the very important steps are to mention the scale, to mention what pattern denotes which production, and then labeling the x-axis, y-axis, and using correct numbering. All right, students. So this completes the first type of graphing, that was subdivided bar diagram. Let us now move to the next type of graphing. Yes, that is percentage bar diagram. Now, how do we begin? We know percentage means out of 100. But if we look at this table, it says out of total 40, the wheat production is 30. But we want the total to be 100. How do we convert it to be out of 100? So we have to do some calculations, students. How do we do the calculations? We will add one column for percentage production of wheat over here. In this example, I am using the wheat column. You can use the jawar column as well. You will still get the similar type of graph. Okay, students. So here for this problem, I am going to use percentage to find percentage for wheat. You can also try out for jawar. All right. And once we find the percentage of wheat, we automatically find the percentage of jawar, because out of 100, if let's say 60% is wheat, then the remaining, that is 40%, will be jawar. So we will be getting the percentage of jawar automatically if we find the percentage of wheat. So let us quickly begin on how to do the calculations for converting it to percentage form. There we begin. We start with the year 2010. And what should be done? To find the percentage production of wheat, the formula would be wheat production upon the total, and we multiply it with 100. So what is the wheat production? This is 30. So 30 divided by total. What is the total for the year 2010? The total is 30 plus 10 is 40, right? So total is 40. The sum is 40 and we have to times it with 100. And calculating, what do we get? Yes, we are going to cross out the zeros. So we are left with 300 over 4. That would be 4 times 7 is 28. And we are left with 20. So 4 times 5 is 20. So the first percentage is 75%. Wheat production is 75. So the remaining percentage will be jawar. Right, students? That would be 25% for jawar. So we get the jawar production is automatically converted, right, students? Next, we convert for the year 2011. So we are going to use the data for wheat. We begin with the data for wheat. What is the data? It is 35 quintals. So 35 quintals out of total. What is the total? 35 plus 15, that is equal to 50. And then we have to times it with 100. And now we just simply do the calculations. So this would be 50 times 2 is 100. And we multiply, that would give us 70%. So that's how we converted the production of wheat into percentage, that is 70%. And now we move to the next year, that is 2012. Okay, and we will again follow the same formula, the same procedure. We begin with the wheat production, which is 48 divided by the total. We know the total is how much, students? It is 60, and we have to times it with 100, right? 0 gets crossed out. 6 times 8 is 48, and when you multiply, the percentage is 80%. Isn't that easy? So the first step, convert the given data into percentage form out of 100 form, and then we go to the graphing part. So let us move to the graphing part. There we go. So the first step, you should start with numbering the axis, then labeling it. Year goes on the x-axis, production in quintal goes on the y-axis. We need to write the scale, right, students? And then we need to write the pattern. What pattern we use for wheat and what for jawar, like that. Now, on this graph, we have to make bars with equal heights of 100. But here, you see the labeling is only till 70. So let us move to another type of graph. Yes, over here. So we begin with graphing this part. Let us begin with the graphing. So we start with the year 2010. The first bar that we have to make has to go up to 100, right, students? So this graphing is the most easiest one. Only you have to do some calculations, and there we go. We start with The first labeling, that is, we are just drawing a bar of height 100, and then we have to mark percentage for wheat. So we start with the percentage, that is 75%. When should I mark percentage 75? It would be between 70 and 80. So there I mark 75% like that. And the lower part is for wheat, the upper part is for jawar. So again we stick to the similar pattern, that is, we are going to make pattern of this style for wheat, and we will be drawing some triangles for jawar. Some triangles for jawar like that. Yes, too. And then we need to mention the scale over here. So the scale is, that is, on y axis 1 centimeter is equal to 10 quintals. And then we have to also mention the pattern that we are using. Some dots are used for wheat and some triangles are used for jawar, like that. Isn't that easy, students? Yes. And now let us continue with the next year, that is 2011. We are going to mark the second bar with the height 100. So there we go. We mark the height to be 100. All the bars will be of same height 100, right, students? And then what is the mark? The subdivision will be at 70. So we mark the 70% over here, and now we have to make the pattern for wheat. So we make pattern for wheat like that, and we have to make some pattern for jawar, that is, we are just drawing some triangles. So the triangles, there we go, we put triangles like that. And then the next part, that is the last bar, should be drawn for the year 2012. Again we draw a height, the bar for height 100, and now we have to mark the subdivision, that will be at 80%. So there we go, we mark the division at 80. Part below the division, that is the representation of wheat, and the triangular part, that is the pattern of triangles, is for jawar. So we quickly do that filling or of the pattern, and that completes the graph. Isn't that easy, students? The only part you need to be very accurate with is this table formation, where you have to check the percentage. If it is mentioned, sometimes it is mentioned in the question that you have to approximate the percentages to nearest integers. At that time, you have to be very specific with the diagrams, and it will help you a lot. Now we look at a different type of problem, which is again on graph reading. So the question says, in the neighboring figure, percentage bar diagram is given. Percentage expenses on different items of two families are given. Answer the following questions based on it. We are asked to write the percentage expenses of every component for each family. And then there are certain questions which we need to answer. So let's begin with writing the percentage expenses for every component. There we go. Let us start with family A. The first thing is food. So let us look at the food part. The pattern for food is blank. So we start with checking what is the height of this region, the blank region. So 60 for family A and 50 for family B. And then we move to the next one, that is clothes. We fill the second column, that is for clothes. So if we look at the pattern for clothes, it is some pattern like this, slanting lines, right students? So let us start with the clothing part for family A. Now if you look at the distance, we need to check what is the distance of or the height of this part. So clearly, if you try to map it on y-axis like that, the height is from 60 to 70, that is 10. So we fill in the data to be 10% for family A, and let us check what is the percentage for family B. So the same pattern, we just try to map it on x-axis, sorry, on y-axis. So you see here, the data is from 50 to 65%. That will be how much? That would be from 50 to 60 is 10, and 60 to 65, that is 5. So it is 15% for family B. It is 15% for family B. And then we move to the education part. So for education, what is the pattern? Let us check. The pattern for education is circular pattern, right? So we look at family A. For family A, what is the height? Yes, we map it on the y-axis and we see the height is from 70 to 80, that is 10. So we put a 10% over here for family A, and then we check what is the height for family B. So for family B, again we try to map it on y-axis like that, and we see it is from 75 to 80, that will be 15% again. So 15% education for family B. We move to the next column, that is electricity. So what is the pattern for electricity? Those are horizontal line, students. So for family A, if we check what is the height of that pattern, it is from 80 to 85, that is 5%. So the percentage of electricity consumption for family A is 5%. And what about family B? It is how much? So again, we try to map that height on the y-axis. We can clearly see it is from 80 to 90, so that is 10%. So 10% electricity consumption for family B. And then we look at the last column, that is others. What is the pattern for others? Those are small triangles. So let us find out the height. Again, we map it. We just check from 85 to 100, that is 15%. So 15% for others, that is for family A, and then we check the same thing for family B. So if we map the height on y-axis, that is from 90 to 100. And what is the difference? That is 10. So 10% of others for family B. So that completes the table part. That is, we have just filled the table, right students? And now we have to answer the questions. Once we get the table, it is super easy. It is super easy to answer those questions. Let us go and answer them. So these are the questions. The first question, which family spends, the first question is, which family spends more percent of expenses on food? Just a minute, students. Yes. So which family spends more percent of expenses on food as compared to the other, and by how much? So we look at the food column, and which family spends more percent? So it is, yes, it is family A. So the answer will be family A spends more, and by how much? By how much? That is by 10%. The difference is 10%. Okay students, we move to next question. It is, what are the percentage expenses on other items? So for family A, the percentage expenses, or rather I would just write it in short. For family A, it is percentage expenses for other items. It is 15%, and for family B, that is how much? It is 10%, students. Okay, and then we move to next question. Which family shows more percentage expenses on electricity? On electricity, we are looking at the electricity column now. So over here, electricity column, which family shows more? That is 10% for family B. So we write the answer. It is the percentage expenses on electricity is more for family B. All right, and the last part, which family's percentage expense is more on education? So which family's percentage expense on education is more? That is family B with 15%. So we put the answer. It is family D. That completes this question on graph reading. So first step, you always fill a table, you convert the pictorial information into a tabular format like that, and then you try to answer the questions. It is going to be super easy and you would never make it wrong. All right. Yes, students. So what have we learned today? Let us quickly recap on what we have done. We have studied subdivided bar diagram and percentage bar diagram, right? And we saw the very basic difference that for percentage bar diagram, we have to always start with making calculations for 100%. That is, we are converting the data to out of 100% like that, and we have to do some basic calculations and then we do the graphing. But for subdivided bar diagram, we have to simply find the total and do the graphing part. And the homework, that is one, these are the two questions from practice set 7.1. These questions are based on what we did in this class, and you can see for the first question we are asked to draw percentage bar diagram, and if you are getting the answers or the percentages in decimals, you have to approximate them to the nearest 100. And for question 2, you are asked here to draw both type of diagrams, that is both type of graphs, that is the subdivided one and the percentage bar diagram, both. Again, the same instructions follow here on approximations.